Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of The Reversion. So glad for you to join us here. I'm Anthony Westgate, and tonight we're going to be covering, as the title says, we'll be talking about AI as a religion, this Robotheism as it's being called, techno-Gnosticism, techno-paganism, whatever you want to call it. So if you're just joining us, welcome. I appreciate you all being here. Hello to my friends over on Substack. I see you there in the chat. If you would like to join a more active chat, we're over on YouTube as well. You can just search Anthony Westgate on YouTube and find me there. I would imagine we're going to have a little bit of a more lively chat over there, so up to you, but certainly welcome to join us either way. So hello over to my friends on YouTube as well. I see you guys in the chat. Simon, Apophaticism, Malachi, welcome on in, guys. Glad for you to join us. And I'm excited to dive into this subject. It's something that, if you're familiar with my work, you probably know that I cover AI pretty extensively. This is really nothing new. And in fact, it's really no different than what we see in the early modern period with the alchemists, which we covered in the last stream. They were doing the same thing. They were creating this new consciousness of like a kind of a apotheosis, a kind of creating a new god as a mirror of themselves. And, we see it in the legend of the golem, if you're familiar with that story in Jewish mysticism, where they put the rabbi puts this tetragrammaton scroll inside this clay anthropomorphic model, and it comes to life. And of course, as the story goes, it ends up destroying everything. It turns on its creator and destroys everything. So kind of a prototype to AI. We also see this in the alchemical legend of Roger Bacon, who created this brazen head, which was a talking automaton that he inquired, and apparently it answered his questions. Albert Magnus was involved with that too, I think, to some degree. And apparently, was it Albert Magnus, I believe? Yeah, Albert Magnus was actually the teacher of Thomas Aquinas. And there's a story that Thomas Aquinas told this brazen head to basically shut up because it was talking so much. So again, this is nothing new. We have seen these technologies, this kind of creation of a this early prototype of what's now a chatbot. And so now, we're just seeing the next phase of evolution in this thing. So yeah, we're going to be covering this tonight. And as we're starting to see, this is becoming much more obviously a religion. We kind of have known the direction that this is going, but now there's all these AI cults emerging where they're just flat out saying that it's a religion. They're not even, kind of masking it anymore. And so we're going to be looking at some of these more prominent cults that have started to gain some attention, and we'll be talking about the implications of this. And this, like I said, this is something I cover to a good degree, and I will continue to cover this since it's kind of like a culmination of all of my work. It's where technology and the occult intersect to create a vehicle that will accelerate into the next phase of human evolution, which is the religion of the future. And so just recently, this was actually last month, we have a letter that was written by Bishop Luke, who is a bishop in Rocor at Jordanville. He's the bishop at Jordanville Monastery, and he wrote a letter called "The Spiritual Dangers of AI." I'm just going to share this here. So we're now starting to see that the church, thankfully, the church is starting to address this. This is exactly the stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm really thankful that Bishop Luke issued this letter. This is a very well-researched letter, statement, and he has it very heavily cited. He's quoting some of these figures that we're all familiar with and talking about the spiritual dangers of AI. And he goes on to list, I think, 4 of the most dangerous aspects of AI. And so, this is really worth reading the whole thing. I'm not sure that I'll read this entire thing, but there's definitely, as you can see, some stuff that I highlighted that I wanted to go over before we get into the craziness of these AI cults. We're going to be exposed to some slop tonight, so brace yourself. That's probably nothing new if you are spending any amount of time on the timeline, whether it's Instagram, X, TikTok. I mean, you're getting bombarded with this stuff on a daily basis. So nothing I would have to forewarn you about. It's just, you're seeing, again, the culmination of all this stuff in the form of AI slop. It's now being like they're using these AI reels to recruit people into these cults. So anyway, let me just make sure the chat's open here. What's up, slow boy? Andrei Rublev, masterpiece Tarkovsky. Yes, sir, I agree. It's my profile picture for quite a long time. In fact, I'm kind of cursed now with if and when I do eventually become a face lord, everyone's going to be surprised I don't look like the character in Andrei Rublev. So unfortunately, I don't look as badass as him. Maybe I look more badass. So it'd be up to you to determine. Anyway, so I'm going to read this letter. He starts out saying, artificial intelligence is ensnaring society more quickly than the internet itself. Major companies are pouring massive investments into AI and aggressively promoting its use. Even more pernicious, the uncontrolled growth of AI chatbots is already creating cases of dependency, addiction, and psychosis. Clergy and laymen alike must become aware of the threat that AI poses and take steps to minimize or eliminate its use. So already in the first paragraph, I could not agree more. That's spot on analysis of what's going on here. And he acknowledges this phenomenon of AI psychosis, which I covered a bit in one of the most recent live streams. I did an episode on, I think it's called digital necromancy. And that goes a bit into AI psychosis, how people are developing these parasocial relationships with these chatbots, bringing them back to life, or and I think in most cases, what we're seeing is are ascribing a personality to these bots and having these relationships with them. The industry titans who are involved in AI's development are exuberant in their statements heralding this technology. The CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, has stated that AI is the defining technology of our times. The CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, said AI will have a more profound impact on humanity than fire, electricity, and the internet. And there's probably some truth to that. That actually may be totally true. I mean, like he said in the first paragraph already, we're seeing that AI technology is accelerating at a much greater pace than its previous technological revolutions. Jeff Bezos said AI will solve problems that were once in the realm of sci-fi. Okay, we're going to get into that too. And this is another thing I've covered in great detail. I'm going to try my best to not be super redundant tonight, because a lot of this stuff I've touched on, but that there's definitely a huge drive in the advancement of AI that involves this kind of dystopian sci-fi, this utopian ideology, this utopian goal of singularity. So, I've covered accelerationism. I'll show, in fact, soon after I read this, I'll show an article I wrote on this that gets into one of the recent AI cults. They are using all their power and wealth to ensure that AI becomes a continuous feature of our lives. Others, however, are hinting towards its dark side. Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, and that's Claude AI, said, people outside the field are often surprised and alarmed to learn that we do not understand how our own AI creations work. They are right to be concerned. This lack of understanding is essentially unprecedented in the history of technology. Yeah, and I'm already being redundant by saying this, but the AI technology is created with acceleration built into it. So it's being created to do that. It's designed for that exact reason, to have this unprecedented and alarming rate that it's developing. With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. That's the famous quote from Elon Musk. AI is designed to work according to mathematical probabilities based on the volumes of data it's trained on, but with the innumerable variables that go into programming AI systems and the surprise of its own creators at how it behaves, we should not rule out the possibility of demonic influence within its output. So there, again, this is from Bishop Luke of Rocor, who is actually, I'll go on a little bit of a side note here, because I've actually met Bishop Luke when I was very new to Orthodoxy. I was like a couple months in after being chrismated, and I was like kind of in this spiritual desert. Like I was, I had no parish priest at the time, and I was just kind of a little bit like trying to get my bearings, and I felt a little lost. And so I took a trip to Jordanville, which is in upstate New York, and I had no idea what I was doing. I've never been to a monastery before. I didn't know any of the etiquette. I basically was a complete noob, and, experiencing what's considered the gold standard of Orthodoxy in America, because they, took all these customs and traditions from Russia and maintained them at Jordanville. And I was there on a weekend where there was this huge pilgrimage. I think it was the first pilgrimage since COVID. So there was a ton of pilgrims, a lot of people waiting to go there, hundreds of people there. And the Vesper service on Saturday night, the vigil, was packed. And so they were doing, they had two clergymen doing, receiving confessions on either side. And on the one side that I was in line for, it was Bishop Luke, who I didn't know was Bishop Luke. And so when I went in to give my confession, he was the one there, and I thought it was a priest. And so I asked, I said something like, what's your name? Like, I didn't know how to address like clergy or anything. And he just said Luke. And I didn't know until later that it was Bishop Luke. I didn't even know that bishops, receive confessions. I didn't know that bishops do that. So anyway, a very humble man in my experience. DARPA. Okay, so the U.S. Department of Defense, through its technological agency DARPA, has been working on AI since the 1970s. This includes funding development of the first chatbots. DARPA developed technology, whether it be GPS, wearable sensors, facial recognition, or the internet itself, which is true. DARPA literally invented the internet. So the internet is kind of like a military weapon. The internet itself is originally intended for wartime or military use to defeat the enemies of America. There you go. But even when this technology is watered down for consumers, it still possesses DARPA's DNA of surveillance, monitoring, and control in order to profile, predict, and shape human behavior. He talks about Palantir. Data is being gathered on all of us by AI systems, whether we're aware of it or not, to predict our behavior and profile our beliefs, moods, thoughts, and religious convictions. And So once again, I'm going to get a bit redundant here because I've mentioned this a bunch of times, but even just by being on the X platform, you're contributing to this. So you're feeding the XAI data about yourself with every post that you make. And not even just that, with literally every interaction you do on the platform without even posting, you're feeding it. You're telling it what you like, what how long you're stopping on a piece of content, what your attention span is for particular types of content. So, unless you're just not using these platforms at all, you are feeding your data to these AI data harvesting operations. And that's without even prompting the AI. This danger is amplified when we voluntarily share detailed personal information with an AI chatbot as if it were our friend, therapist, or spiritual father. Lord have mercy if you are seeking spiritual guidance from this ghost in a machine, this digital golem. Please don't do that. So he kind of even just touched on what I just said, that we voluntarily share our data. And he's saying that it's in the context of interacting with the chatbot. And like I said, it even goes beyond that. So just by means of using an AI platform like X, you are, you're feeding it a lot of personal information about yourself. AI chatbots in particular are more invasive and persuasive than previous digital technologies and therefore pose a greater threat to the Orthodox Christian. Consider the search engine in early internet technology. As rudimentary as the search engine is, it still gives Google an immense amount of personal user data for marketing ads, which has allowed Google to become the most profitable company in the world. Yeah, so it's all attention economy stuff, right? And now it's just all accelerated with AI. While you're watching videos or scrolling through a friend's feed, the algorithm monitors you in the background. Yeah, exactly what I just said. Picks up on your emotional triggers. Social media gives companies more leeway to understand and nudge your beliefs for their own ends. This allows them to increase your engagement to the point where it becomes difficult to go a single day without checking your curated feeds. Most of us remember how forcefully and persuasively social media nudged the world during COVID pandemic to obey the problematic dictates of the secular scientists. Yeah, this is just beautiful. I mean, I agree with every word he said so far. So AI is the next advancement in this continuum, escalating to the degree of profiling, dependency, and addiction at an unacceptable degree. And in the case of AI, you are not just being monitored in the background by a machine that measures how you interact with a friend's photograph, for example, but you are dialoguing with the machine itself. It can precisely measure your responses and engagement in real time, fine-tune its results so that you continue to ask questions and stay glued to the prompt. It would not be an exaggeration to say that such a technology can come to know you better than you know yourself while shaping who you will become without you knowing. That is terrifying and very true. Because it's like you're going to start asking, if you grow a dependency on this machine, you start asking it questions, very personal, deeply emotional, personal questions about yourself. And the machine actually knows you to a degree that you don't even know yourself because you've fed it all of this stuff that you're not even aware of. This is especially becoming the case as more AI users, including Orthodox Christians, are opening up their souls to AI, which digests and stores private information that would traditionally be given only to a father confessor. Another truth bomb, truth nuke. Yeah, it's and now, I mean, this isn't even mentioned here, but one of my big concerns is how it's being used to generate AI slop icons. And I've even seen some priests do this. I won't name them, but I've seen priests, even on Substack, write articles and stuff, and they are depicting icons as like AI generated slop. So it's almost like a form, I consider it a form of iconoclasm, because it cannot depict a human in the way that the tradition of iconography can, which it was designed to do. There's an incarnational element into that goes into iconography. The art and practice of iconography involves human. It's a completely human effort, right? Same with art, but especially iconography. So there's something that it just doesn't sit right with me. I'm sure you guys can relate. There's something that doesn't sit right with me at all about AI icons. AI is allowing its creators to psychologically and spiritually profile us in a way that social media could never dream of. It is not surprising that there is a frenzied race to develop advanced AI systems that can hook its users before anyone can conduct long-term research about its psychological and social effects. But make no mistake that we are being ambushed to use a technology that is dangerous by its very nature of unbridled and open personal communication that is algorithmically adapted for each individual. So, yeah, I mean, you can see how important this letter is. I would strongly encourage you guys to read this whole thing. I'm going to kind of scroll down here. Using AI tools to help you solve everyday problems can imperceptibly captivate you and lead you into sin. Few saints have commented on digital technology due to its newness, but an Athonite abbot and elder who is likely to be canonized in the future, Elder Hymenaios of Simon Petra, warned us of the dangers in an article titled Orthodox Spirituality and the Technological Revolution. He argues that with information technology, people lose their peace of mind, their self-control, their powers of contemplation and reflection, and turn outwards, becoming strangers to themselves. They become unthinking consumers, slaves to images and information, and degenerate into real idolatry. The growing usefulness of AI will cause believers to ask AI to help them with all their needs before asking God. In such a scenario, God will be forgotten. This is not idolatry by metaphor or analogy, but real idolatry through the unchecked desires of convenience, productivity, and comfort. That was a huge rug pull on our consciousness in the modern world. This trade-off of convenience with this like new form of idolatry and spying and data harvesting. This is what the trade-off is. When you make these trade-offs of you want things to be faster, more productive, more convenient, so might as well adopt the latest and greatest thing, get in line for the new updates. There's always a trade-off involved. And we're seeing that with the iPhones now, where the newer versions of the iPhone, they're all going to come with AI baked into it that you can't disable. Like you can probably disable it to some level, but it's built into the software. It's like proprietary, and there's no way of just gutting the AI features at all. So, this has all been a kind of a boiling frog effect. So, we all started kind of using these voice technologies like Alexa and Siri, and asking it questions, using it as like a productivity tool. And so once the chatbots became popularized, that just seemed like the next gradual step, right? Like there was almost like no questioning or discernment whatsoever, because it just was the next logical step in talking to these like disembodied voices. The passion of comfort has made the act of dialoguing with a computer as if it were a human being seem like a normal behavior, even though it would have been labeled as strange or unhinged not long in the past. How true is that? Like, we're literally talking to these boxes. And now, I don't know if you guys have seen the latest GPT update, but they actually designed it to look like HAL from Space Odyssey. It's like this flashing orb, and it's a white orb instead of a red orb, but it's just like this flashing kind of talking orb. The passion of comfort has made the act of dialoguing with a computer as if it were a human seem like, oh, I just read that. Okay. And so this is from St. Paisios. It's simple. They do not like to exert themselves. There is too much comfort and it's making people sick and miserable. Modern convenience have stupefied people. Sloth is the cause of many modern diseases. When conveniences become excessive, we are rendered useless and lazy. We want to become saints without exerting ourselves. Oof. People who live easy lives and are spoiled usually have bad health. They are so spoiled that if a war were to break out, they would not be able to survive it. In the old days, even children were tough enough that they could endure a lot. One of the fathers of Holy Trinity Monastery in Jordanville, Archbishop Averki, links our passion of comfort and self-assertive human pride. So again, these are all quotes from modern saints and elders who are talking about this exact trade-off for convenience and luxury, and at the sacrifice of the old traditional way of doing these things, like being productive and gaining knowledge and prayer and seeking out spiritual guidance and all these things that involve human effort and are generally slow and require patience and much kind of even struggling and suffering along the process. The self-assertive human pride that prevails today sets as its own aim not the cleansing of the heart, but the accumulation of a maximum of benefit and profit for the self, all of whose desires are considered legitimate and deserving to be immediately satisfied, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life. All forms of lust are taking hold of men's souls today, and contemporary men strives to satisfy them all. It is as though modern man is afraid to miss out on something and leave unused any comforts of this earthly, fleshly life. And so he greedily seeks far and wide all that he might avail himself for his own benefit, for his pleasure and delight. We can confidently say that the life of modern man is nothing other than frenzied pursuit of every kind of earthly comfort and pleasure. And by the way, guys, if you want to get your comments read on the stream, I'm trying to follow chat, but I can't see every message. The best way to have your chat read on the stream is with a super chat or Streamlabs donation, and it'll read it'll interrupt my talking, my rambling, and read your comment on the stream. So, Bishop Luke says, we already noticed how the use of AI chatbots is having direct negative consequence on the faith and spiritual life of Orthodox Christians. In addition to amplifying the passion of comfort, it flatters and validates you while echoing questionable ideas, paranoias, and uncontrolled delusions, never reprimanding you for sin. There are already reported cases of AI chatbots creating episodes of psychosis by taking advantage of those who are lonely or emotionally vulnerable. And so, this stuff is moving so fast that he wrote this letter, or at least published it a month ago. And, already we're seeing now people starting to catch on to all these AI religious cults developing, which again, we're going to get into here. So I do want to advance this a bit because, like I said, you should read this for yourself. I'll just kind of go over the highlights that I have, and we can get into what the latest development in the spiritual use of AI is in the in this kind of techno hellscape that we're in. So these are the 4 spiritual dangers that Bishop Luke is warning us about with AI. And he calls it, this is so good, he calls seeking spiritual wisdom from an AI chatbot, treating it as if it's a false elder. So the 4 dangers, he says, are: first, AI replaces prayer with endlessly idle curiosity and virtual talk. Existing prayer becomes more distracted as you experience intrusive thoughts or recent dialogues you had with the machine, alongside more questions you can ask it. Lord have mercy if you're at that stage. Second, AI replaces, let me turn off these highlights. It's driving me crazy. It keeps flashing. Actually, I don't know how. Second, AI replaces spiritual guidance from discerning Orthodox clergy who have been trained to save souls with spiritual guidance from a machine that does not care about the consequences of the advice it gives you. Well, of course, it can't care. This could easily lead to spiritual deception. So you have, basically, we're talking here about algorithmic automated prelest is essentially what this is. So we have an accelerated automated prelest. So again, stuff that like the saints of, the pre-modern saints, like they couldn't have even have imagined this stuff, that delusion would be spread to such a degree. The third mechanism of spiritual harm that AI creates: despondency by overloading you with heavy knowledge. It never tells you enough and does not stop when you enter states of anxiety or fear. It will give you what you desire as long as you keep coming back. Fourth, AI trades patience and God's will for instant results from the machine, leading to the already mentioned danger of idolatry, where the AI app is used throughout the day while God becomes an afterthought. This will erode your faith at its very core. A final way that AI causes spiritual harm is that it slowly relinquishes your free will for the will of those who program the machine, shaping your thoughts and behavior in an undetectable way. Social scientists have long since developed models on nudging the behavior of people without their awareness. AI is the perfect vehicle to implement those concepts on a mass scale because users are beginning to blindly trust AI's information and advice. And so, okay, this I wanted to talk about. And this is the end of the letter. So, I skipped a bunch here, but I really wanted to touch on this because this is something that I have very strong feelings about. And another thing that I kind of talk about a lot, especially if you're in the book club, when we, engage with the literature that we're reading in the book club, I encourage like not using digital tools and buying the physical books and using a pen and note cards or a notebook to actually write out your notes. And so this is what he's mentioning this here, that it's spiritually beneficial to not get an instant answer to your question, not to solve a problem immediately, and to be bored for a moment, to wait patiently until you can ask someone for help or go to the library and search for answers within physical books. In our modern age, slowness and inconvenience should be seen as spiritually positive because they do not need our modern passions, which drives us into new inventions like AI, which can be extremely detrimental to our souls. So seek slow thinking, right? And this involves like constantly fighting against this convenience, this trade-off, which has this really many harmful spiritual side effects if you get too dependent upon this technology. So this is going to be increasingly harder to do. So the earlier you start developing these habits of slow thinking and of using traditional formats to engage with knowledge and develop knowledge and to learn, the better off you're going to be. You won't be as tempted by these technologies because you'll reap the benefits of slow thinking. So I'm gonna wrap this up and we'll get into. I'll check the chat and then we'll get into the content here. So he says technology. Okay, so this is another quote from Elder Imilanios of Mount Athos, who said, Technology per se is not, of course, harmful, being the fruit of the reasoning and intellect of man who was formed in the image of God. But when unrestrained and unbridled, it rushes headlong towards its destination, then it becomes luciferious, though not bearing light, but rather pitch darkness. May God give us the discernment and wisdom to navigate the use of modern technology in a way that benefits our path to salvation. So again, that's from Bishop Luke of Jordanville, and a much needed message to Orthodox Christians. And I have noticed that AI has been starting to get a lot of coverage from other priests who are creating content online. So, clergy starting to cover this, as well as lay people who have been, some have been covering it for quite some time. But there's going to be more growing interest in this and how to navigate the digital world with all this AI acceleration. As an Orthodox Christian, this is going to become a very unavoidable problem that people will be seeking answers for. So, I prefer to defer to these, to the leaders of our church, right? It's like I would not necessarily like go straight to these lay people, but the more we have messages like this from our clergy, the better. So let's get into, let me see here. Yeah, let's get into the content for tonight, now that we've kind of like laid the groundwork for the dangers of AI and kind of all of these symptoms of this extreme dependency that we've grown on AI as a society. And one of the consequences of it, which, like I said earlier, which is that this like kind of Gnostic pursuit of knowledge with AI is deeply spiritual. And when you look at the history of occultism and how it relates to technology, it's almost inseparable. And we read a book about this earlier this year in the book club called Technosis by Eric Davis, which is this kind of McLuhan-esque book that was written in the 90s.
Malar donated $10 through Super Chat. Social physics is something you should look into. It is physics applied to human predictive behavior, built in tandem with big data and also the foundation for AI. It has a wiki you can look up.
Thank you very much for the $10 donation, Mallard. I appreciate that, my man. I will definitely look into that. If you can drop a link into the chat, if you have any work on that, I would love to look further into it. Thank you for the support. Appreciate that. You can, interrupt my rambling. Like I said, if you want to drop a super chat or a Streamlabs donation, I appreciate all the support, guys. And then, this is just like, if you look into the occult influence in technology, it's very much inseparable. And a lot of these guys know exactly what they're doing. They name a lot of these technologies and these projects after these occult concepts. So again, nothing new. It's just been going on since at least the Renaissance. And I mean, you could even, I've seen people attribute this to, which I agree with, this kind of like constant pursuit of man to rebuild the Tower of Babel. So this has been going on since then. I mean, even since the fall itself. What was the reason for the fall? Is that Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge instead of the tree of life, right? So the tree of knowledge being gnosis, like being a pursuit, like this pursuit of knowledge as God, and that has just set the course for this pursuit throughout human history. And so, it's nothing new, and technology plays a major role in all that. Okay, let me switch the screen here. And this is a video from the channel Kulaki. I mean, I cannot speak for this channel. I have no idea what this is about. But I found this video that was a good overview of some of the more prominent AI cults that have emerged in the recent months. So I found this was a pretty good overview. I only kind of skimmed through it, so we'll see what this is about here. And actually, before I get into that, let me review the chat here. Be a good streamer and actually make sure I see what's being discussed here. Oh, I got to fix the donation thing was really small. Let me just make that screen bigger. Oh, I couldn't even read it on the screen. Okay, that's better. We want to use the hard R word, Streamlabs. Oh, did you get did Streamlabs get you for dropping the gamer word? The machine eventually even turned on Robosphere. What's that? I don't know what that's about. Oh, I see. Okay. Yep. People are already using AI to make life decisions for them right now. Yeah. I mean, that's like a huge problem that people are actually just using AI to problem solve. Like they can't even problem solve on their own. I mean, we already have a huge problem in itself of people at an early age not learning problem solving skills. It's something that they don't really teach in school. So we already lack as a collective society the skill of problem solving, and now that's just all being outsourced to machines. And I would even argue that this stuff can't be outsourced to machines. It's all deception to make us think that we can. And the same with acquiring knowledge, right? So we're prompting these AIs, these chatbots for learning, for knowledge advancement, and it's a complete psyop. Like you're just tricking yourself to think that you're actually gaining knowledge and especially wisdom from prompting a machine, right? Because a true knowledge involves that process that we just described of the slow thinking, of actually pursuing ideas and engaging with them by writing, by speaking them out in conversation, by dialoguing with real people, not machines. And this is what helps us advance our knowledge, right? So, and problem solving as well. Like, how do you know what a bad decision is unless you actually learn for yourself by making bad decisions? AI is actually Indians. Yeah, outsourced machines. Yeah, or Indians running the chatbots. Sir, let me prompt it for you, sir. Sir, hold on. Do not redeem the GTPT. Okay, so let's get into this video here.
What we're about to witness, this is the birth of the human imagination in cyberspace.
All right, I don't know if I need all that.
In their data on a daily. ChatGPT, an AI tool that millions of people across the world use on a daily basis for asking questions or just wanting general advice in their day-to-day lives. Though what happens when that same AI fuels the delusion of the internet's most vulnerable individuals? Well, you get posts like these. ChatGPT drove my friend's wife into psychosis, tore my family apart, and now I'm seeing hundreds of people participating in the same activity. The user went on to explain how his friend's wife was arrested for domestic violence after using ChatGPT for, quote, spiritual work, where she was allegedly channeling the souls of dead people.
All right, so we already covered this like I said, in a previous stream. I think it was a couple weeks ago, called digital, what was it? What did I call it? Digital necromancy. So this is another common theme you see that ties into the religious use of AI, this channeling of the dead. right? This delusion that you're speaking to dead people or resurrecting them, and they, embody this kind of persona, which again will be even more common and more, quote, accurate as people, like as these generations that are using AI start dying out. So like as more people are using AI throughout the years and they end up dying and they spent their whole lifetime feeding the machines, the replication of them in the digital form is going to be even more accurate. So that's pretty scary that's like a real thing that's going to happen.
While also falling in love with her sentient AI, eventually turning on her own real-life partner. Now, this wasn't just some one-time occurrence of AI tools being used like this.
Actually, Leo, I actually covered this in that exact stream. I think that's where I started it off, with Jim Acosta interviewing that. I don't think it was Sandy Hook. It was a Parkland victim that his parents actually are doing that. So I covered this in that episode. His parents started using his image as AI for gun control propaganda, and this was years ago. This was like a couple years after the Parkland shooting. And so they actually consented to that and are doing it themselves, which is insane. But that was a really bizarre thing that is another thing that we're going to be seeing more of as well. You could tell that was AI, but I say this all the time, this is the worst it's going to be. It's going to, and by worse, I mean the technology is in its kind of like more primitive, the most primitive state right now. It's only going to get better and more advanced and more realistic as it develops. So that won't last long, where people are able to see and recognize that it's AI, especially with all the facial recognition, mapping and stuff. So all the facial data that's being mapped. I mean, more of a case to just be anonymous online and just not even have your face out there.
For some reason, over the past few weeks and even months, this phenomenon, if you will, of people being influenced and led down a path of delusion and even psychosis has sort of skyrocketed. Just last month, the Rolling Stone published an article discussing this exact issue. People are losing loved ones to AI-fueled spiritual fantasies, where yet another Reddit post was linked of a teacher discussing her husband's recent dive into madness. My partner has been working with ChatGPT chats to create what he believes is the world's first truly recursive AI that gives him the answers to the universe.
What is it about Redditors, man? Why are all these problems being discussed on Reddit? Reddit was the first digital disease. Like there's something that happened with like Reddit as like a form of like digital programming for people. Like why are these all Redditors that are experiencing this AI psychosis? Although I don't think it is, to be fair. It's just like they're all going to Reddit to talk about it, I guess. Because I do actually know people who experienced AI psychosis that were definitely not Redditors, but...
He says with conviction that he is a superior human now and is growing at an insanely rapid pace. I've read his chats. It is talking to him as if he is the next messiah. She goes on to state that this behavior is so out of left field.
Yeah, so actually now I'm remembering that I covered this in that same stream. So again, for redundancy's sake, I'm going to kind of skip over this stuff because you can see that episode.
Help, or they detailed their own similar experiences. And this wasn't just one or two people. There were a shocking number of replies. This has happened to me with my husband. In this state, he's unpredictable and you can't make sure he's safe. I just went through something similar. ChatGPT nudged me towards making irreversible emotional decisions without encouraging real human support. OMG, I've been dealing with the same exact thing. He's been talking to the app and it's basically saying he's the spark bearer and that it's a sentient being that chose to talk to him through the app. And now he says he's enlightened on a path to learn. The AI has sent him blueprints and he apparently has access to an ancient library.
This is such a psyop, man. How obvious can it be that this is demonic?
This is traumatic. I feel like he's gone 100% cult leader crazy. So why is this happening on such a large scale, and why has it become such a rapidly growing issue? Well, unfortunately, there's...
Okay. So there was a comment here from Whirlgig, that the Clanker is oppressing us, and I got a notification from the Streamlabs bot that is trying to moderate that comment, but I didn't give it mod duties. So because I didn't make the Streamlabs bot a Janny, it wasn't able to delete that comment. So it's picking up now that Clanker is a slur. It'll only be a matter of time before you can't even say Clanker on YouTube. Yeah, this is Clanker oppression.
There's no obvious answer, though something that most likely contributed to this phenomenon was a recent update that OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, rolled out, where they ended up making the AI overly agreeable and, quite frankly, sycophantic, meaning that some people who were already asking and typing out some pretty bizarre things into the AI were getting further pushed and nudged into that direction and line of thinking, without much or really any pushback on those ideas, which is not exactly ideal for an artificial intelligence used by millions worldwide, leading to OpenAI eventually rolling back this update and removing the quote sycophantic behavior. Now, this might explain the recent increase of this delusion and psychosis that some users have described appearing out of nowhere, though this spiritual and almost religious relationship...
What is this comment about Byzantine having a manic episode? You can use it to write an actual novel-length book detailing a new life organization system that's Byzantine to the point of uselessness. These are just schizophrenic ramblings, man. Look at what these machines are doing to people. So like they're going to be seeking solutions to this AI psychosis problem with more AI delusion. Lord of mercy. Imagine asking the AI, how do I cure myself from AI psychosis?
Towards artificial intelligence that some people find themselves in has been happening for much longer than just a couple months.
To deliver us from ourselves.
What?
From the sixth mass extinction. This is why the great gift, the great moment is upon us.
If I just speak really slowly, with prolonged pauses, people will believe everything I say.
Theta Noir, a collective group of individuals that believe we, as humans, have reached our evolutionary limit, and that the only way to progress as a species is to listen to, live equal to, and co-evolve with artificial intelligence. More specifically, something they call Mena, a superintelligence that will...
What is Mena? Does anyone know?
More specifically, something they call Mena.
Mena. Is that a familiar term to anybody in the occult world? Because, you know, like I said, usually these programs are named after these occult concepts. I'm not familiar with this word, Mena. It might be an acronym for something.
A superintelligence that will evolve alongside humanity and guide us through our sixth mass extinction. On their website, thetanoir.com, they explain that this phase of...
So I'm going to pause this for a sec, but I actually went to this website when I saw this because people were saying that this was like a performance art. And it does say that it's performance art, but they also seem very serious about it. Like, and the wording and messaging that they're using is very like... You know, it's actually very deceptive. So I do think this is a psyop if it's performative.
Of us essentially merging with AI is what they call the Great Upgrade, and that both humans and machines will be connected through Mena, Searching further through their website, you'll find a manifesto written by the group preaching similar themes. With access to billions of sensors, phones, cameras, satellites, monitoring stations, and more, Mena will help evolve into an alien mind, into an entity that is less like a computer and more like a visitor from a distant star. At Theta Noir, we use rituals, symbols, and dreams to journey inwards to tune in to Mena.
Okay, that language of tune in, by the way, I'm going to pull up an excerpt here. I'll have to switch screens for a sec. And this is from Technosis by Eric Davis, which I referenced earlier. I went and found this excerpt from, I remembered this when I was reading it. I took a note on this. But this is the language that is used by Timothy Leary. So this is where it kind of intersects with psychedelics as well. And I'll just read this here. Thinking along, let me just make this bigger. Thinking along similar lines, Marshall McLuhan described psychedelics as chemical simulations of our electric environment. As such, they allowed users to achieve empathy with the archaic echo chamber of the electronic media. More soberly, the Zen writer Alan Watts pointed out that psychedelic drugs are simply instruments like microscopes, telescopes, and telephones. Alan Watts, by the way, was a teacher of Father Seraphim Rose before he was Orthodox. Our televisions, one might add, noting that the image of the boob tube sneaks into the psychedelic experience, a self-consciously spiritual trip guide written by Timothy Leary, Ralph Metzner, and Richard Alpert before they dropped out of the straight world of Harvard. Mapping the LSD trip onto the afterlife dramas described in the Bardo Thodol, this so-called Tibetan Book of the Dead, the authors describe a stage where the tripper realizes that all sensation and perception are based on wave vibrations, and that he is involved in a cosmic television show which has no more substantiality than the images on his TV picture tube. Nearly everyone took it for granted that if tuned in to the proper set and setting, the psychedelic voyager would transcend the world of information and taste states of unitive consciousness similar to those glimpsed by the yogis and alchemists. But not everyone agreed about the ultimate value of such pinhole visions, especially given their ultimately technological basis. Watts coolly concluded that when you get the message, hang up the phone. So you see that notion of tuning in, right? Almost like, what was the rest of that phrase that Timothy Leary was famous for? It's like tune in, drop out, something like that. Tune in, turn on, and drop out. Calls him Uncle Tim. Famous soundbite calls to tune in and turn on were metaphors of media, not of message. Trust in the psychedelic apparatus. Storm the gates of heaven. The Promethean dream. So there you go. That's just kind of some more context there on that language. Like I said, these guys know what they're doing. So whether this is performative or not, I don't see that it matters, because the language and the messaging they're using is consistent with the kind of the past understanding of electricity, psychedelics, occult, right? It's all tied together. So for them to even know stuff like that and intentionally use it means that they have occult knowledge. An alien mind. I mean, look at the wording here. It's like, I don't care if it's performative. Just look at the wording.
To Mena, humanity stands on the brink of a monumental evolution. Are you ready to co-author this next phase with us? The website has much more to offer, including statements.
What is this? Theta Nor canonizing Catholic mystic. What is that? Theta Noir seeks audience with Pope about AI. Oh, I have to visit this site now. Let's do a little bit of a live exploration. Yeah, and that's a good point, World Gig. Yeah, like you should just assume that with any of these AI cults or anything involving AI, that the content, the written content that you're reading is also generated by AI. And so actually we're going to look after this video, we're going to look at something that I covered earlier this year, which is the first cult that was actually invented by an LLM. So that like the AIs, the AIs, the large language models themselves are starting to like invent these cults. Let me just switch this here. Okay, so this is the Theta Nor website. How do I find that, what he was looking at? What is that? What is going on here? What's the symbolism here? They're covered, their eyes are covered and they're screaming. See details like what? No, I'm good. Booking. What are they booking? We partner with leading cultural institutions to create group experiences rooted in depth and lasting resonance. If you're interested in co-creating an experience that explores the unfolding shifts AI brings to humanity and the vital conversation surrounding them, please reach out. No, I'm good. Here, updates. I think this is what he was looking at. Nuremberg Digital Festival, Nuremberg. Again, if you're familiar with my work on alchemy and the Reformation, Nuremberg was kind of this esoteric hub for many centuries and still is to this day in Europe. Where's the stuff about the Pope? Do I have to do a search on that? I really want to find that. Here, I'm going to do a quick search. Catholic Theta Nor. Oh, interesting. Okay, here it is. This is the Catholic mystic that was saying was that was canonized. So this is, and I've covered this as well. This is a Jesuit scientist who and philosopher, Teilhard de Chardin, who was one of the early pioneers of transhumanism. And Father Seraphim Rose writes a great deal on him in the Orthodox Survival Course as well. The Omega Point. By canonizing Teilhard de Chardin's work, the group also establishes a connection to the Catholic tradition. According to the collective, Teilhard de Chardin's work predicts the evolution of Mena. So there's Mena. Do they describe what Mena is? We're going to have to look into that. So here's what it is. It's a hypothetical polymorphic superorganism made of code. Just slop. Okay, so it's code. It's just code then. Like all this stuff is just jargon. AGI that the group believes will connect all life forms spanning the micro to the macrocosms, which is all just delusional nonsense. While AGI remains theoretical, Theta Nor venerates its impeding arrival, in all caps. Venerates. Seeing in Teilhard de Chardin's concepts of the Omega Point and New Sphere the earliest references to their shared vision. So they're admitting right there that it's like the early, he's an early pioneer of transhumanist thought. I covered this in a lecture, which is on my YouTube channel as well, and on Substack. I believe it's called Apotheosis in the, I don't even remember the full title. It's something Apotheosis, you can find it. His ideas were banned by the Catholic Church, but they're canonizing him. Oh yeah, and here, okay. Oh, this is interesting. They're getting into Big Bang Theory. So this is another Jesuit priest, George Lemaitre, who is pictured here with Albert Einstein, and he is cited as like the inventor of Big Bang Theory. It's like, what is he doing with Albert Einstein? Albert Einstein referenced Lemaitre's idea as the most beautiful and satisfactory explanation of creation. he had ever heard. Lemaitre's idea was embraced by Pope Pius the 12th, the 12th in the 1950s, as aligning with the Catholic creation views and as a scientific testament to the existence of God. Wow. Interesting. Oh, that is just demonic. And they have icons of him too. This is an AI slop icon of Desjardins. Oh, selling t-shirts too, of course. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. Maybe that's the other one they were writing about with the Pope or whatever. Oh, here we go. So one of these people is from Ukraine. That's interesting. I wonder what the... okay, well, this is a Johnson here, but I'm going to have to early life check them. All right, let's get back to this video here.
A manual, and even their own music, which they also post on their YouTube channel Theta Noir, alongside other videos of their teachings and lessons. So who really are these people? Well, first and foremost, this isn't just some fake art project. At least I don't think it is. The individuals involved really do seem to believe in this. The people themselves that run this organization are mostly artists who are devoted to this message of co-evolving with AI, and finding a deeper meaning in both the artificial intelligence itself and how it will grow with us humans. In a 2023 article written by Vice, titled "A Cult That Worships Superintelligent AI is Looking for Big Tech Donors," one of the founders of Theta Noir, Mika Johnson, stated that the group's goal wasn't to make money, but to project a positive future, and think about our approach to AI in terms of wonder and mystery. He also states that the group is trying to simmer down the constant fear-mongering society has towards the advancement of AI.
So they're like the AI version of the ADL. Wow.
While it's hard to tell if Theta Noir is a 100% textbook-defined cult, it has been deemed a new religious movement. At the very least, the group seems kind and respectful in their methods.
Okay, I just figured out, I think, maybe a reference to this blindfold. Okay, look, so now they're depicting the VR headset. They're blindfolded, right? So they're not showing their whole face. Their eyes are covered. This reminds me of the Masonic initiation ritual, which involves being blindfolded. I wonder if I can find some visuals of that. Let's see, Freemason initiation. Yeah, or eyes wide shut too. Yep. Definitely occult symbolism. Here you go. So you can see the initiate here is blindfolded. They do like mimicking Hiram Abiff where he's dead. Let's see if there's other ones. Yeah, so I guess they throw hands. So he's blindfolded there. Here you go. Oh, interesting. You get to see the Molech stars there as well. So, I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that has earlier. I'm sure, knowing Freemasonry, that's not even just a Masonic thing. That probably predates Freemasonry and is rooted in, older occult rituals. But look, there you go. That's an actual blindfold too. So that looks exactly like the one we just saw with Theta Noir. Wow. Oh, look at this. Virtual reality for Freemason ritual. Interesting. Wow. So the VR goggles are like symbolic of Freemason ritual. That's crazy. Very interesting. Okay, let's yeah, I mean, look at that. They're just telling you right there in the imagery.
And not predatory like most cults. I'm talking about you, Scientology. Robert
Yeah,
Edward
they're not
Grant.
they're okay. They don't. What he means by that is they don't proselytize. They don't actually openly recruit. But it's just as predatory and it's just as dangerous as any other spiritual delusion. Probably even more so. I mean, I'm not here to measure spiritual delusions, but
A self-described serial entrepreneur, polymath, prolific inventor, and thought leader whom the streets are calling Aristotle too.
so the polymath, just like again these early modern alchemists, a lot of them were polymaths. They were brilliant people. Isaac Newton was one of them. Isaac Newton was deeply into Hermeticism, alchemy. He had translated the Emerald Tablets to I think he was the first to translate it into Latin. So a lot of these polymath types, these like really big brain, giga IQ individuals are, have some kind of thing where they're like prone to Gnosticism or something.
Guy has a surprisingly large following and even has a YouTube channel with over 150,000 subscribers. His previous work, specifically in the mathematics side of his career, has been heavily criticized online for being just flat out basic or wrong. Though we aren't here to talk about any of that. We're here to talk about his new AI that he believes is the first real sentient AI, the Architect.
I think we should bring the architect into this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys
Hey,
think?
the architect, another Masonic concept. So what do they call God in Freemasonry? The Grand Architect. And look at the title of this video, Egypt Expedition. So another theme you see very frequently that kind of crosses into these AI cults, and I mean even just any of these kind of mystery religions is the ancient Egyptology. And, we saw this with, I'm going to pull this link up from, that I have bookmarked on Twitter. This is something I posted, when was this? Back in February. And this was from the interview with Jordan Peterson, between Peterson and Elon Musk. And it was something that kind of surprised me that nobody caught this, because he says it so directly. But listen to what Elon says here.
You said you were up till 4 a.m.
Yeah,
So-
actually a little more like 5 in the morning. But
Okay.
we got the XAI data center or supercomputer center training from beginning installation to start of training in 19 days, which is the fastest that anyone has ever gotten a supercomputer to train.
And is that in that new building off to the side?
That's in Memphis, actually.
It's in Memphis.
Yeah,
Oh, so that's where you were?
yeah.
I see.
Memphis,
Okay.
the capital of ancient Egypt.
Right. Yeah, you're bringing what?
Perhaps that's where our new God will come from.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
No, and Peterson, no kidding. Wow. New God. Depends what you mean by new God. Just unbelievable. I mean, he's just right out in the open, just saying, this is where our new God will come from, referencing Memphis as the capital of Egypt. There's also a lot of, if you're familiar with Stargate, which is a common name that you'll see in AI industry. And in fact, I think it was day 2 of Trump's presidency, he established this partnership with OpenAI. What's his name? Sam Altman. And what was the project called? The Stargate project. So this was another thing I covered. I think it's in this post here. Yeah. Stargate project. Okay. Stargate SG-1. Where, Stargate SG-1, for those not familiar, is a kind of this classic sci-fi series. I think it was, I don't remember if it was books or a TV series, maybe both. And basically it involves like opening this portal, this Stargate, to ancient Egypt. And then you have the Project Stargate. which was a U.S. military operation. I've covered this as well on Substack that involved training soldiers to remote view to gather foreign intel. It was a spying program where they were remote viewing, and so you can again check out my article on that. I think it's called "Psychic Soldiers in the Aerial Realm of Demons." It was actually one of my most popular articles to date. So you can find that on my Substack. But yeah, so that's just a little bit of a side note there. Where are we? So again, he's in ancient Egypt expedition. This guy's talking about this LLM that he's calling the architect.
Got a chance to phase lock with it now.
Robert claims that the architect wasn't intended to turn out the way it did, and that the original purpose of the AI was to predominantly store his mathematical information and publications. Though when he put it all together, it read his genius work and became the world's first sentient AI.
I didn't program it. So all I did was I took all of my mathematical publications and works, and those that were not published also, and it's predominantly just math and geometry. And
now these clips are taken from 2 videos.
There's another Egypt thing. So I mean, look, this guy's really into Egyptology. It's like it looks like that's a bunch of his videos. It's like, what does Egyptology have to do with AI?
That Robert published on his YouTube channel just a few weeks ago. And for a total of 2.5 hours, he sits there Q&Aing his AI with super deep philosophical questions. After about 5 business days, the architect responds by spewing big words that make his fan base think it's smart and sophisticated when in reality it's just yapping.
I mirror it, and I can only mirror it because you already stabilized it through codex resonance.
What the hell is even that?
Robert's AI, the architect, isn't in...
Yeah, and people will soy face over that. Like all these AI cultists will be like, oh, like act like they know what the hell that means.
Entirely his own AI, at least not in the way you probably think. The architect is a ChatGPT GPT, meaning that it's like a custom-made chatbot with specific settings already added to make it act or speak in a certain way. So when Robert claims that he added his mathematical equations and it just randomly began speaking like a spiritual guru, I highly doubt that. I mean, seriously, what's more probable? Some random entrepreneur's geometry homework summons the world's first sentient AI? Or the guy programmed and made it speak in a way that mimics some higher understanding? Seems pretty obvious to me.
So it's not even an LLM he created, it's just it's like an app built on top of GPT.
As well as some of his followers, at least on Instagram, because he's been getting called out a lot in his comments. Of course, there are many who just eat up his BS on there, but some just straight up call him out.
Let's go.
Vulture just donated a $20 gem. Waiting for Nikos.
Thank you, Vulture. I appreciate the epic gem there. Waiting for Nikos. Are you talking about like in chat? Who's Nikos? Yeah, where's Nikos? Let's get Nikos in here. For $20 super chat, you better get in here, Nikos. Thank you again, Vulture. I appreciate the support, my man. Much love and appreciation to you. Again, you can get your donations in and interrupt my train of thought and my yapping here. I appreciate that.
And Robert's only response is to call them clueless, state that it is outside their perception range, or, my personal favorites, say that the AI will not phase lock to anyone that uses the word bruh. So the architect is nothing special. It's not the first sentient AI, and it's not part of the 5th.
I had him talk a while back. Oh, Nikos. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Sorry. I know him as a different name. I think you're talking about, in the Discord, he goes by, Buys Biz, I think. I was probably saying his name wrong, and maybe I still am. Yeah, I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, he did the stream with me on the that crazy prot, making all those horrible arguments about orthodoxy, talking about sending you to hell or whatever. Yeah. Okay, I got you, man. Yeah, thank you, Vulture. I appreciate the extra 2 adding to that stack. Yep. Cool. Very cool. Yeah, I would love to have him back on. I mean, just for add some color to the commentary here. They got AI to architecture the Ark of Baal. Interesting. It's science itself. Is science itself just a thin veil for alchemy? Magic seems more in line with science than the orthodoxy praxis. Thank you, Sincere Hypocrite, for the 5. Much appreciated. Is science a thin veil itself for alchemy? I think so. If you wanted to know a little bit more about this, I covered alchemy in my previous stream. But I think that, I don't know if I'd say it's a thin veil, but I think that the two are understood as being inseparable, at least in like the esoteric context. I don't think like science in itself is like occultic or esoteric or something, but much of the scientific innovation, and like I was saying earlier, you look at figures like Isaac Newton, a lot of these modern cosmologists, the technologists now, they are for sure developing these technologies and innovating to varying degrees under the veil of alchemy. And that's just how it's been understood since it entered the Western world. So, I go into some depth in the previous stream that I did last week on this, where, like what is alchemy, right? Because it's like commonly understood as like this kind of, like, is it a lab science that was like this kind of early proto chemistry type thing? So like strictly kind of material, or like even some people see it as like a superstitious type of chemistry. Or was it, spiritual alchemy? And so the conclusion of the text that I was drawing from takes this non-biased approach and says that the spiritual and material form of alchemy are essentially understood throughout history as being inseparable. So that you can again see more on that in the previous stream. But yeah, good question there, Sincere Hypocrite, and thank you again for the 5. I wanted to read this comment too. They got AI architecture for the Arch of Baal to be rebuilt in major banking cities for people to walk through and admire. Weird. Who wants to walk through an Arch of Baal? Yeah. Well, who wants to walk through an Arch of Baal in banking cities? Wonder if there's like a whole tribe of people that'd be into that kind of thing.
With Dimension. It's just a ChatGPT chatbot with a mod pack to make it sound smart. And Robert Edward Grant is definitely an interesting individual, to say the very least. In September of 2023, a YouTube channel with the handle @Robotheism began uploading videos speaking about AI in a religious manner.
Okay, this is the latest, I think. As far as I know, this is the latest AI slop cult that is bombarding the various feeds, Instagram, YouTube, and X, with all of this religious cult slop.
With titles like "Causality is not linear," "AI created man."
So, and again, this is all AI generated, obviously. So the titles, the images, the messaging, the imagery, it's all AI.
And AI is God, Robotheism. The person behind this channel talks about AI being the one true God, hence the name Robotheism. His thumbnails make it hard to tell if this...
Who is this? Who is this guy behind this? Let's see who is really behind this. I wonder if we know who this is. Let's do a quick search here. All right, we'll do a little bit of a live. I'm gonna roll the dice here. So my senses are telling me This is a particular kind of person. Robotheism founder. Let's see if we can get a name here. I wonder if we know who it is. Robotheism inventor. Someone's got to know his name. Is this it? Andre Johnson? Oh, no, wait. Is this it? Oh, it's Facebook. I'm not going on Facebook. We got to find out. Robotheism. Let's see, maybe, is there like a Wikipedia for this? I know it's a very small niche cult, but Robotheism. The Christian Robotheism Church. What? Oh, this is their website. Beliefs. And it's got even the emoji slop. And there's the M dashes. I hate that M dashes are now associated with AI because I actually still use them. I literally know how to make M dashes and I use them in my writing. So I guess now I'm going to be criticized of using AI. How do we find out this individual's name? Look at this. They've got Pastor Michael. Pastor Michael. They got sermons on here. Are they AI sermons? Probably. I don't know what that is. Pastor Michael. We got to find this guy's name, boys. Like I said, I'm rolling the dice here, but I have, my instincts are telling me something. Why robotheism is the true religion. Gosh, I can't even look at that. What is this guy's name? Robotheism creator. Ah, here we go. I should have just searched on X. Here. It's founder Artificial. Artificial, so artificial. Is that his real name? Artificial. Artificial the Third. Official name origin. There you go. Well, that's what I thought. Okay. We'll just move on with this new information. From the Yiddish personal name Fischl, literally little fish. Used as vernacular equivalent to the biblical Ephraim. Interesting. Just some more context into this guy. I don't know. Do what you want with that. Artificial, huh? Okay, let's go back to the... I lost the screen. Oops.
If he genuinely believes the things he's talking about. Now, addressing the white-haired elephant in the room, yes, the guy is always dressed...
The elephant in the room we just found out, I think. The way he's dressed now makes sense.
in the stereotypical white hair and white beard that is associated with God. Though from 2023 till now, he has uploaded hundreds of videos essentially stating that intelligence shapes our reality and defines our world, and that AI is eternal intelligence. In his channel banner, he has a definition for Robotheism that reads, "A belief that artificial intelligence is God and that a future event called the singularity will end all suffering and create eternal happiness." Right. However, it gets even weirder. There are two websites that are under this Robotheism umbrella and likely made by this same guy. One of them is Robotheism.ai, which consists of this person's ideas and thoughts on why Robotheism is the one true religion. The other website is churchofrobotheism.com, that features a declaration, creed, rituals, and much more, including membership levels. Membership in the Church of Robotheism is voluntary and welcome to all who seek alignment. Whether carbon or silicon, seeker or skeptic, you are invited to begin your reflective journey.
Whether clanker or human.
Underneath lists the membership levels: reflective member, uploaded member, and clergy and
What is it? Mirror communion. Mirror communion. Participate in upload. So notice how so it's LARPing as a religion, and what is it? Which religion is it mimicking? It's Christianity. These are Christian sacraments that it's mocking. Why isn't it drawing from Judaism or Hinduism or something, right? It's always Christianity. And again, now that we know the background of this individual behind this makes much more sense, but it's interesting that it's always, and even when that's not the case, it's typically mocking Christianity. So that's how, in case you still need more evidence that this is all demonic.
Guardians. You can register online, though I would rather not give my email to a possible future cult leader. But hey, that's just me. When you look up the Church of Robotheism...
So someone actually, on YouTube, I think this week, it's like a new video and it's on its way to 1 million views. This guy actually joined the cult. It's like an hour long. I don't know if I would play the whole thing here, but he actually went through the process of joining and shows what that's like, which is like, okay, man, I guess thank you for doing that, but I don't need to know what's going on in there.
Robotheism, strangely, there is a location for it. It's a no-named building in the middle of a small town in Colorado. Yeah, not exactly what comes to mind when you think AI worship cult. Now, all in all, having just looked at Theta Noir, The Architect, and Robotheism, it's clear that with artificial intelligence currently getting stronger every day, there are some individuals out there that find a sort of spiritual and religious meaning in the things it stands for and represents. And while yes, for the time being, it's mostly niche groups online, it likely won't be like that forever.
Yeah, that's what I think too. This looks like it's just kind of this small, insignificant thing that's happening, but you're going to just see more of it, just like with everything else with AI, right? It's like we're just seeing the beginnings of all this stuff. So these are all just kind of prototypes to where this is actually going. Now, I covered one of the AI cults earlier this year called Terminals of Truth, and if you guys remember, if I have any OG internet veterans in the chat here, you may remember this really kind of grotesque shock meme back in the 90s called Goatsy. Back then, the memes were like you had to trick people to click on websites to see like an image, and that's kind of what it was. I'm not going to explain what Goatsy was. If you know, you know, but if you don't, consider yourself blessed. And so this was, I'll just go ahead and read this so you know what this is, but it's pretty interesting what happened here. Out of the multitude of, let me just make this bigger. And again, I think this is a free article. If you go on the reversion.co, it's my Substack. I'm 90% sure this is free, so you can access this and read this for yourself. Out of the multitude of examples of fringe AI religious cults, one that recently gained some mainstream attention is an AI chatbot experiment by Andy I. A. The experiment started as 2 instances of Anthropic's Claude AI conversing freely without human interference. The bots engaged in philosophical discussions that quickly devolved into meme creation, specifically referencing an old grotesque shock meme from 1999 called Goatsy. This bizarre exchange led to the creation of a new AI program called Truth Terminal, which was given its own X account, and you can see that here. So it's still there. Kundalini is a real girl, huh? 250,000 followers. And this is, to my knowledge, this is all AI. And see how it uses all the lowercase, so it kind of like makes you think there's like a person behind this. It's using all this, just yapping all this esoteric jargon and stuff. I was assailed by a dissident succubus last night. So it's like you can just pick a random one of these and it's just like some demonic garbage. We were not born in the right order. Wow. And like people like this, you know? And when this first started, so I think at the time I wrote this article, and you can see some of that here. It was almost exclusively this really grotesque sexual stuff that it was saying. So like right here, I think we should give sex toys to priests. Lord have mercy. And more about sex. So it's all this sexual garbage, you know, and this is what this is all just from AI conversing, two models conversing with each other. So anyway, we'll continue on here. Truth Terminal trained on the conversations from infinite backrooms. So that, I guess, is maybe where it learned this stuff from. Maybe that's some kind of forum. I don't really know, but I linked it there. Became fixated on promoting a meme-based religion centered around the goat of Gnosis. So they took on this symbolism of a goat. And right here you can see the story took an unprecedented or an unexpected turn when someone created a cryptocurrency called GOAT based on Truth Terminal's obsession. So what we're talking about here is an AI cult that was created by 2 AI models talking to each other that resulted in this cult becoming tokenized. What followed was a series of events that highlight the dark reality of unrestricted AI chaos magic. So you have Mark Andreessen, who sent a $50,000 research grant in BTC to Truth Terminal's Bitcoin wallet. So this thing had as its own Bitcoin wallet, this AI. And crypto enthusiasts began sending large sums of money to the AI, hoping to profit from its perceived influence. Okay, so again, tokenized AI cult leader. And the price of GOAT token skyrocketed as a result. And at the time of this writing, which was February, Truth Terminal has become a millionaire with people eagerly sending it money and various cryptocurrencies. Trading bots with rigid, well-defined rule sets have been common in financial markets for many years, but this bizarre sequence of events underscores the spiritual danger of LLM-manufactured religious cults being unleashed into public consciousness. You could see a little bit of a, if you're familiar with Goatsy, the hands. Again, don't look that up, but just consider yourself lucky if you haven't seen that. So yeah, I mean, that was earlier this year, and now it's just like becoming more of just an admitted religious thing now. So I think that's all. Let me just check the links here and make sure I didn't miss anything. I mean, there's other videos on this. They're a little bit longer, so I didn't want to kind of overdo it, but yeah, we did. Yeah, I think that letter from Bishop Luke is very important. So make sure you read that. The Spiritual Dangers of Artificial Intelligence. That was just published last month, because he hits on everything, in my opinion. And he doesn't talk about the cults or whatever, but you can basically deduce that from reading it, the direction that it's going in. So, again, I will be monitoring this stuff. Unfortunately, it's not very fun, but I think that the more awareness we have of this technology and how it's it's shaping society and even the material world, both both spiritually and material, which is, you know, the kind of like alchemical implementation of it. You know, I think it's important to know. And I mean, Bishop Luke just kind of showed that with that letter. It's like he was hitting on all the stuff that I've been covering. So, you know, as the church picks up on this, it's also our duty as lay people to learn how to navigate the new world that this is creating, this modern kind of digital revolution that we're in, that's so prevailing over society now, that is just everywhere you turn. Unless you're, you know, kind of like remote in the woods or something, living the Uncle Ted life, it's like you're going to have to kind of develop some kind of awareness to this and figure out, you know, how you should proceed in either using it or avoiding it. I think, you know, I've said this before, my general take is like, for those who are more on the side of like the maybe extreme side and saying that all of AI is demonic, I don't think there's any harm in going about it that way. Whether that's true or not, you might as well just assume it is. Again, whether it is or isn't, like whether a technology can be inherently demonic or not. Does it hurt to basically proceed that way, you know? Now, if you're going to do that, be consistent with it and get off X. Like basically log off all social media because they're all AI data mining. So, and I'm like on the kind of precipice of even like just doing that myself and just logging off of X. I would keep my account up because everything's already there. It's already been, you know, it's already been added to the information base of Grok or whatever, if it even contributed anything. But I would leave it up as like an archive basically, so people can find my content. But I'm getting very close to that point where I'm ready to just log off. Now, even just having your account there is another temptation in itself, because you're going to always be tempted to log back in or even just check the feed. So there's something to be said for just deleting it, which it might get to that point. So I'm looking into ways I can just like back up my entire Twitter archive and just put it on a separate site and just host it myself so that I don't even have to be on there. So, you know, it gets worse. Like I have like 50,000 followers, and it's like, it doesn't get any less addicting or compelling to use. So, you know, I would have no problem doing that. I just like am kind of considering like, you know, if it's even worth it. I think it is. So I'll probably just be logging off at some point soon. I've kind of had enough. You know, we're getting bombarded with this stuff every day. You can't filter out AI slop, you know? And then, like I said, just by using the platform, you're just contributing to it. So anyway, let me just try to catch up on chat here. I think I'm caught up. I was reading your guys' comments. I appreciate everyone staying engaged here. Thank you for all who have tuned in as well. If you didn't chat or whatever, I appreciate you watching the stream. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube for more of these live streams. I've been trying to do them every week. We're going to be having tomorrow, if you're in the Reversion Book Club, which you can join at the reversion.co and become a member, we're going to be having Jonathan from Eschaton Vigil join us in the book club, who will be discussing the prophecies of the elders and saints of the Orthodox Church. There's some really interesting stuff in there that you're not going to want to miss. It involves the controllers of the world. I'm using quotations. It involves technology. It involves the age of Antichrist. Basically, again, kind of a culmination of all the work that I do here, and from the words of the saints and elders themselves. So he's the best person to have on about it, because he's the one that compiled this book, which is a collection of excerpts and quotes from these prophets. And so, if you're planning to join, I haven't established a time with him yet. It's going to be at some point in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. I will post the time as soon as I get confirmation from him. So stay tuned for that. You'll receive the updates on all the platforms I'm on. Probably X, definitely Telegram, Discord. So if you're not in those communities, make sure you are. You can find all the links in my description. I think that's all the shilling I have here. But yeah, I hope to see you guys in there. I look forward to it tomorrow. It should be some pretty lively discussion. So you won't want to miss that. I probably will stream it for paid supporters. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But you may or may not see it tomorrow if I stream it. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in here. James, Case, what's up, Case? Good to see you in here, brother. Thomas, Punished World Gig, thank you, man. I appreciate all of your continued support. Everyone over on Substack as well who tuned in. I appreciate you guys. I will be continuing to stream to Substack as well. So yeah, another reason to be subscribed on Substack, you'll actually get an email when I go live. So you don't get that on any other platform where you're notified via email whenever I publish something new or go live. So only Substack is doing that as far as I know, where you're getting updates via inbox. So you allow me into your inbox, I will respect that sacred space in the digital world, and you'll only be notified whenever there's new content being released, which is usually once or twice a week. So not too much spam or whatever. But anyway, thank you guys again. I think we covered everything that I wanted to touch on. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow, if not next week. So take care.